Yeah. And this is the Jung types bingo. Um, have to see what today is. This is July 24.
Yep.
And I wanted to just uh, I wanted to start with questions people might have had from what we've already gone over. And then what I hope to do today is to introduce some of the kind of tricks and tips, not going into depth about the handwriting and the union type. There's like a lot of things in it, but like the the most obvious stuff are like the things, the three or four things to know, to look for, so so that, well, so less is more, so that you're uh um so to make it easier. What I find is um learning, like I had learned a whole lot of handwriting indicators first, and actually as I kind of worked with John Beck and looked at handwriting samples he was sharing and we talked about, I I saw that there was like, if I looked at the right indicators and went through that decision tree that we've been learning of, the judging, and then uh, the function attitudes, the certain function attitudes of the different types, that I could pretty quickly get a much better idea of what the function was from the handwriting. Then then I can go through in detail, and like I'll get a handout for you of the detailed indicators. But today I wanted to just go over the tricks, the clues that to guide you. Um, and and then before we get started, I wanted to show you a brief video. But first, let's review. If you have any questions about the handout, about the instruction guide, um, and we'll be following that guide again, and this time introducing how to use the handwriting with it. That's why I didn't really do a handout this time, because we're really going to be using that same guide. And once we get up, kind of go through the handwriting, I'll get another handout uh, about with the table of the indicators and stuff. Yeah. So, Anne, you look like you're reviewing now.
I'm just
Did you
looking.
have some questions from uh um there's there's probably something, actually. Let me find a let me
Victor,
open up.
do
Yeah.
you ever contemplate writing a book on this stuff?
Yes. Yes, and you guys are helping me.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, all of the feedback is helping me to explain it more clearly, and to see,
Yeah, you better
how
hurry
to
up.
keep it
'Cause
simple.
I'm at a point in my life where I don't even buy green bananas.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, you know, uh, a wise person lives for today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see just a second here. It was, I'll put those handouts up. Let's take a look at one of them. The instruction guide. Let's look at um the assessment. Where was that? There it is. Assessment form. Let's just take a look at this assessment form first to I think this will be hey, welcome Debbie. We're just getting started, and we were starting with just a quick little review of any questions you might have from what we've covered so far. Let me see, where am I? Oh, there we go. And so can you see this little circle with the cross in it? So
Yep.
Carl, you should be really, this should really resonate with you. What I was talking about, we were talking about before we started here about how Carl's assessment, his Myers-Briggs type has changed over time. And I won't get into the technical details yet about that. We'll talk about that, like kind of what's the difference between the handwriting, how we assess it from the handwriting, and how it's assessed from the test. There are differences in there, and there's technical terms you need to know, like factors. What's the difference between a factor and a function? That we'll save that for later. But what I want to point out is that we've talked about how the we develop our different functions. We all have the 4 functions in us, and they're just like some are more conscious or developed than others. And they're usually, we have like this cross to help us understand, kind of to map how that's happening, what is more developed, what's less developed. And the the key principle here is that the Carl Jung's theory is about how the psyche, how these functions are balancing each other to keep harmony in our I would call it our ego structure, how we're understanding things. So let's see. So we mentioned about the dominant function is in the first place up here at the top of the cross, and the auxiliary function is in the second place here. And we've been talking about how we're we're really identifying or finding these two, because once we identify these two, the dominant and the auxiliary, we can guess what the well we can identify what the third function, the tertiary function, is. And same way with, once we have this one, we can, the dominant function, we can identify what the inferior function is. So that's why we focus on the dominant and the auxiliary function. Okay, but at about midlife, like I noticed, I went kind of through my chronology of my history of my personal biography, and I was identifying how I developed first the intuitive function, the extroverted intuitive function, and then second, the introverted thinking function, which you notice this is a different kind. The intuitive is the rational or the irrational, and the thinking is the rational. See, so they're going to be different in kind, and different in orientation. If I had developed the extroverted intuition and the introverted thinking, okay, and so all you do from there is what's across, what's on the other side of the arm of the auxiliary is going to be the opposite binary function, which means it's going to be rational. But the opposite rational function, which is feeling, and opposite in sign from the thinking. So I had an introverted thinking auxiliary in number 2. So that meant extroverted feeling in the tertiary function is number 3.
Yeah.
So is that making sense to everyone?
Yeah.
So this is like this is sort of like a I call it a framework, a conceptual framework, because the assessment, Carl, that you took was giving data. It was showing how your preferences had changed over time. Okay, that's essentially what the Myers-Briggs indicator test is. You're just responding to, do you prefer this or this? Do you prefer to do this or this? You know, and I've changed over time. And what that's showing is, for example, in my midlife, well, when I was younger, or when I was a teen, say when I was younger, it was extroverted intuition. And then as I was in secondary schools, you know, junior and high school, I was working as like a nerd, as an introverted thinker, you know, reading a lot and stuff like that. And then, in my 30s, in fact, later I was even working in a library. I worked in libraries while I was in my teens and then into my 20s in a college library. But then in my 30s, I went to graduate school to learn counseling, and I chose that because I didn't think about it this way, but I felt like there was a part of me that needed to learn how to feel. You know, I was so much in my head, I wanted to feel. So that's when I started developing that tertiary function. And I had, while I was at the university library working at the library, I took the Myers-Briggs test and it showed I was introverted thinking. Okay. But then a few years later, I took it again and it showed I was extroverted. I was in the field. It was like moving more towards the feeling.
Yeah.
See, so there's this dynamic aspect that really requires, that's why I'm saying, Carl, it wasn't that you changed your you changed to a different personality type, but that you had more a development of more of what your functions could do.
Yes.
And in that process, it affected, see, I became more outgoing because I had extroverted feeling with extroverted intuition. It made a different way that I was expressing things in my personality. I I ended up going to more parties, moved to Atlanta, went to the big parties that were happening there, you know. Yeah. And so that's the idea of how the functioning, how you're looking at the development aspect. Carl Jung called this individuation. Okay, is that making sense, guys? I don't want to get too much into it, but enough for you to see why you're looking at these two things, you know, like, but you're actually from these 2 points, the dominant and auxiliary function, you can figure out the whole configuration of the what I call the psychological types, because they're not necessarily expressed in the personality and until maybe later in life. Or they may be partially expressed if they've been developed. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that? That kind of brings up my next actually my test. So this was the review. Let's see how well you understood this. So all of your questions now, and now we'll do a little quick test here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Yes, yes. Let's see here. No
Victor,
grading.
just
Yes.
a general question.
Uh,
What
yes.
typology do you consider yourself as?
It's ENTP.
Okay.
ENTP. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
But you see, because I've developed other things, it's going to show up. And you know, that's what makes it this complicated on the one hand. You know, for
Mm,
mature people who are mature and developed, and they've really lived a life and developed themselves. For people that, you know, haven't moved anywhere, haven't done anything, haven't learned anything, they're going to be easy to identify,
mm,
you know.
yeah.
I always thought you were OTW,
That's
You
oh,
off the wall.
yeah.
Off the
Oh, that's
wall.
my extroverted intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm.
let me see here. I'm gonna share let this video. Did I open it? Yes. I think that's it. Let's see how. Okay. It's just for a few minutes, but listen to this.
The first thing is C functions as a spectrum based on the center point of the function itself, meaning there's a function, a cognitive function called intuition. Okay. All right, it's intuition. And let's pretend intuition starts here, and the further you go that way, it's introverted, and the further you go that way, it's extroverted. Okay? Does it make sense? Okay. So if you're doing an activity that's over here, it is a very clear example of introverted intuition. And if you're doing something way over here, it is a very clear example of extroverted intuition. But the closer we get to the center, there are some things that are just intuition. Make sense? Okay. So it's like, is that introverted intuition or is that extroverted intuition? There are some things where it's like, that's just intuition. Okay.
Mm.
All right. So we're going to create some distinctions between like, what does it mean to go further this direction? And what does it mean to go further that direction? And the same.
Okay. That's it. That's the test.
Oh.
So this is a discussion test. Discussion.
Yeah. You've got us all intrigued now.
Yeah.
Was
We,
that you
we
sitting
were
on that
talking
other
it,
stool?
Carl. Go
Was
ahead.
that you sitting on that other stool?
What's that? Oh.
In the video, was that you sitting on
Oh,
the other
if I was
stool?
on that other stool, I would have been OTW. Let me give you a hint. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet.
No. No.
Right.
So, can anyone tell me what they thought might be wrong with what was being said there?
Well, it's not actually the activity that is introverted or extroverted. It's how the person acts in that situation.
It's actually simpler than that.
Ah.
Go back to the functions, and then go back to the concept of function attitude.
I think it's how comfortable they are with other people.
Yeah. Because let me tell you, the first word that person spoke was wrong. And then the first sentence, and then everything after that was wrong.
Mhm.
They and this is kind of the thing. And I kind of looked up why were they so confused? And I kind of saw it. They were reading or studying, they said they knew all of these different kinds of personality assessments, you know, like the Enneagram and the this and the that, the and it comes out as a hodgepodge. Carl Jung, the psychological types have a foundation theory. And to go back to that foundation theory, people go back to Carl Jung and his writings. And he lived until his 80s, into the 1960s. He began his writing in 1900, right about 1904, doing his, there is volumes. There's what do they call it? The collected works is
Yeah.
big, is as big as the Britannica Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have the clinical analytical psychologists that have been studying after him, following the Zurich school, students of his students, continuous line, working with type. And then we have the Myers-Briggs instrument that worked to stay close to his theory. And then you have all of the arguments and discussions that go on between these experts, scholars, psychoanalysts, you know, uh, the test, the statisticians, you know, the test developers. It's a huge, huge, I was going to say industry, but it's really like there's this it's not simply an industry. There's this learning, this body of work of both teaching and research. And and this is, maybe this is the kind of the problem people have, is they can get it wrong. You know, let me give you the first thing. The psychologists, and I miss this. The psychologists that work with personality tests that measure introversion and extroversion on a continuum.
Yeah.
That is not Carl Jung's theory. Introversion and extroversion is not anything by itself on a continuum. This is why
Is it either one or the other?
it's either one or the other, exactly.
Right. Right.
You can't be partly introverted. What you can be is how conscious or unconscious you are.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
How do you explain that they use the X? If you're right between introverted and extroverted,
Yes.
you're X.
So what it is it is possible that you haven't developed the function enough for it to show up as one or the other orientation. It's just undeveloped,
Mm.
you know? Now,
Okay.
now the thing is, see, there is this debate or discussion between, like, there's differences between how the psychoanalysts might interpret what Carl Jung is saying and how the test developers might. Let me pull this shade a little bit. Getting a little too bright. And that has to do more with the it's that the personality test developers have always gotten this wrong, but the Jungian, you know, the Myers-Briggs got it right. And you'll see that the people that are like all about these psychometric tests, that they think that you're supposed to have something continuous for it to be workable. We'll get more into this later, next month, when we start looking at how the tests work. But what the Myers-Briggs test actually does it's what you were saying, Ann. It's one or the other, and that's
Mm.
why they call them forced choice.
Yeah.
That's why they use forced choice questions, and it doesn't have to be strongly this way or strongly that way. You know, like
Yeah.
they don't have to be on a continuum where it's way
Oh.
over here for it to be stronger. It's not
Yeah.
about being stronger, less
Yeah.
or more. It's
Mm.
really about, is it this way or is it that way?
That way. Yeah.
That's it.
Mm.
Yeah. How it becomes more expressed, you know, relates to a different aspect of the theory, which is about the unconscious. But you know, psychometric people don't like to talk about the unconscious, so they make this,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah. So
Mm.
so that's kind of, that's, I'm mainly pointing this out for two reasons. One is to be cautious about where you're hearing and what
Yeah.
you're hearing about you know, Myers-Briggs, all of this, especially it's the most popular test. So
Yeah.
people are going to get it wrong. They're
Mm.
just not going to know what they're talking about, and they're going
Mm.
to act like they do know.
Mm.
You know, they've made up their own system, and maybe they're right.
Victor, can I add something?
Yes, please.
I remember Father Whirling, who taught
Uh-huh.
us about the four temperaments,
Mm-hmm.
saying that something about, I don't know if he did the study or he read about it, but out of something like 100,000 handwritings, he had seen two, it was either 2 or 4 that were balanced.
Ah, yes.
Mm.
In
So
terms of,
for,
yeah.
so for people who were balanced, though, that might be a balance of introversion and extroversion. I
Okay.
don't know.
No, let's go back to my my visual here, okay? To that assessment form. Let me show you, because it directly relates to this. Remember this?
Yeah.
Okay? It is about balance, but it's
Yeah.
not on a continuum. If you have intuition, the intuition is extroverted, it's going to remain extroverted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See? What is expressed as more, you know, balanced is that I became more balanced whenever I developed my introverted thinking function.
Mm.
See, it
Mm.
it did two things. It kept me from going off the wall
Mm.
uh like brother Carl. Help me. Great description. It really is. You see, as long as I'm not fighting my thinking function, you know, sometimes we're in arguments with each other, you know, but when I'm in an accepting mood and I'm, you know, letting that introvert, by the way, Debbie, the introverted thinking, uh, I associate with the melancholic temperament, and the
Okay.
extroverted intuition I associated with the sanguine.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
so we're, in this case, you're seeing the sanguine that's like fluttering away with that butterfly. And what is it? The frog or something? Trying to pull
The
that.
melancholic is the frog, yeah.
Yeah, so that frog's
Mm.
trying to pull that butterfly back down to earth a little bit. You know?
Yeah, sometimes they don't get along.
Exactly. And I have a, what do you call it? A team of rivals right in here. So, that's the way the balance happens, though. It happens, the function itself has its orientation, and that doesn't change. It can be more expressed or, you know, more unconscious or more conscious. You know, conscious simply means you're more in control of what you're doing. It's part of your will. You know, you're able, with like how we do the handwriting. You're at first, all of these movements are like spastic and your handwriting's all over the place, But then with that practice, it becomes more and more deliberate, and you're expressing, it's a maturity of that expression in the handwriting. It becomes precise. You're able to express that. And that's individuation. That's the way I think of individuation. The reason he doesn't use the word developed. Does that make sense? That's kind of really the main crux. When I was hearing that, I was thinking, wow, this is really a good learning piece.
Mm.
I pull that person into my class because they missed an important part. That the orientation is with the function. The balance is
Yeah.
related to the individuation, the development of each of the functions that are already, and that's why they develop in opposite orientation. What orientation means is it
Yeah.
looking out towards the environment,
Yeah.
or is it more introspective inward to the self? That's
Yeah.
all it means. That's
Mm.
what it's about. So if you have one function that's working that way out, then that other function is going to develop because it's working towards the balance. And we develop this, it's not so much predetermined as that it's looking at how to balance how we're developing.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see if I can if I let's see if I can keep this page. Oh, I guess not. Okay, I'll open up the next theme then. Because I wanna show you let's see. There we go. I want to open my notes. I think it's on the app page. Yes. No. Okay. There we go. Okay, no, it's not app page. Okay, there it is. Application window. Now it's showing it. Let's see if I think this is what I did last time, that I used this application window. And can everyone see my notes here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna the rest of the time I want to spend looking at handwriting, and we're going to look at these specific things. We've already talked about regularity. Okay, so these are clues for a quick idea of Jung types in the handwriting. So first we look at regularity or irregularity. And remember, that's what we had that on the guide sheet. Regularity refers to the judging type, or J, and irregularity in the handwriting refers to the perceiving type. Okay. And remember, we talked about how the judging type is a reference to the rational function being extroverted in either the dominant or the auxiliary position. So rational function is the feeling or thinking. Okay. And I've got that little E there because it's a function attitude that shows extroverted feeling or extroverted thinking is going to be what's going to, kind of like what the judging refers to, that J symbol, and why that's regularity. Now, regularity in handwriting is a sure sign of that it's a judging type. Irregularity is a little bit more difficult. things can kind of look, let me put it this way. The irregularity can be irregular,
Mm,
okay?
mm,
And so it might look regular,
mm,
okay? So the irregularity is sometimes a little difficult. You might need more handwriting,
mm,
or it might
mm.
be puzzling. And there's different ways of really grasping that irregularity. We'll look at some specific samples. But then the next part, the dominant orientation this is about the dominant orientation. Is it extroverted or introverted? Now this refers to what does the overall personality appear to be? Does it appear more extroverted or more introverted?
Mm.
And remember, like as I got into my 30s, well, like most people may be what's called ambivalent, or they may be um ambivert, I guess they call it, which means they're having their extroverted function and their dominant function and a highly developed auxiliary function that's opposite to their dominant function, and that's making them not seem to be either extroverted or introverted. See, so you'll find in the handwriting when that's going on that they're usually moderate. See, so if there's a really dominant uh,
Right.
uh, orientation, it'll be obvious. It's either going to be very big or very small, okay? And that's related to the size, large or small. Typically, you find that with the thinking or the intuition. Or you're going to be looking at the tendency, the left tendency or right tendency. Are you guys familiar with that? The
Yeah.
left and
Yeah.
right tendency. So,
Yeah.
so what do you think? If it's more right tendency, which way does it orient?
Towards extroverted.
Yes, exactly. And if it's more left tendency, then it's introvert. Real,
Yeah.
these are obvious. The handwriting and Jungian type, they're like I don't know, bread and butter. I yeah. So usually you would be seeing about tendency, left or right tendency is usually related to the sensing or the feeling function, and you'll see the reason size is related to the N or T, the introverted, or the intuition and the thinking, is because in the handwriting you often find those disconnected. That's how you tell the thinking and the intuition.
Right.
You see disconnected writing, okay? And the sensing and the feeling, you see connected writing, okay?
Okay.
The so so then we come down to specifically the irrational functions are sensing and intuition. And this is kind of cool. What I've learned is that if it's really heavy writing, you've probably got a dominant sensing. If it's really light writing, and or you have thready, like air strokes, which becomes disconnected, but can the kind of cursive, the not non-printing disconnected, then it's usually dominant intuition. Those are really, really clear. So, but besides the heavy or light, and remember now, the reason you may not find a really heavy writing but a dominant sensor is because their other auxiliary function that is opposite in kind and in orientation is balancing that out. Then you're going to find it'll be like more moderate. You know, it'll be kind of heavy, but not like excessively heavy. Okay.
Right.
So what you look for is lower zone emphasis.
Mhm.
Lower zone emphasis for the sensing function. And
Yeah.
I think of it this way. The sensing function is going to press into the page, which is about pushing down. And then that's symbolized also on the page as pushing down below the baseline on the in the up and down strokes. See, so you've got the push into the page and the push downward. And those are characteristics of the sensing function. And the sensing function is going to be connected writing. That helps. Okay.
Mm.
Whereas the intuition, lighter writing, it's going to be upper zone emphasis or originality, primarily the originality of the upper zone. We'll look at a couple of these. And it's disconnected writing. Okay. But, you know, the kind of disconnection that I call it three-dimensional cursive, because you're literally lifting up that pen, and that's why it's light, barely touching the page. And if you notice, that upward movement, that ethereal movement is also expressed by the upper extensions, the upper zone. Okay. Is
Yeah.
everyone following this?
Yeah.
These are like the quickie pieces. And so the rational function, and in fact, this helped me understand why are they called rational functions and the other irrational? Well, the handwriting tells you why. The rational functions are in the middle zone. That keeps them rational and practical. The irrational functions are expressed out of that middle zone. So they're irrational.
Yeah.
Is that not fascinating?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So the
Yeah.
middle zone is where you're going to find, you're looking in the middle zone for the rational functions. And those two rational functions, what are they? Guys, what are the rational functions? Two.
Thinking and feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think they look like in the middle zone?
Feeling's going to be rounded,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking is going to be angled, pointed.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. That's all you need to know. So let's take a look. Let's see if this works, that I can open these up without having to. So
Can I ask a
yes,
question?
go ahead. Uh-huh.
I'm just thinking of Trump's writing. The writing itself is rounded, but the signature is angular. So what do you do with that?
Let me tell you, he's a messed up guy.
Interesting.
We're going to we'll have to look at that in our special session later in the course. He's a really messed up guy, and we'll what it has to do with is he has oddly developed his functions in an inconsistent way. Okay.
In a what way?
Well, an inconsistent way. It wasn't for balance. His development of functions. Okay. His development of the functions related to fear of becoming too introspective. So he never developed his introspective, his auxiliary function did not develop to the degree it needed to balance out his extroverted sensing.
I'm
And it
really
messed-
hoping I'm hoping they can open these Epstein files.
Yeah.
Back him into a corner.
This is the key of the house.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's I'm getting the popcorn. Anyway, what do you think about this writing? Can you guys see it? Can you see this one that I opened up on the?
Yeah.
Okay, so go through that list. Okay, first of all,
Yeah.
we're looking. You know what? I kind of work with look at all of them at once, basically, because if they're balanced, see, you're not going to see so much irregularity. If they have more of their introverted, like, how do I say, they're, yeah, even if it's a irrational function, but don't just look for the irregularity of the space. What you have to look at in here is like how the words is there an impulse? Someone with a lot of rhythm, they can have a lot of rhythm, and they can still be like there's a certain spontaneity there
Yeah.
in the writing
Yeah.
that makes it distinctive from regularity writing.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, an impulse. And I don't know if you see it, but there is that in this, that it's irregular,
Yeah.
just slight.
Yeah.
Like you see it in the pattern of their movement, not uh their their um their white space and everything. Everything looks real uh kind of organized. They're quite organized, but they have this impulse in how they're mainly you're kind of seeing it like the let me uh look at like some of the words almost disappear with and you have these movements. So I call that the irregular.
Yes. I agree.
So what would that mean? The the extroverted function would be, it would be sensing or
That's what I
intuition.
thought, very sensual.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
there is
There's a heaviness to the writing, isn't there? Especially in the middle zone.
it's difficult. Yeah, if it's
I don't think you can determine that just looking at it, whether it's heavy or not.
I know, because there's the flow part.
Yeah.
Right, Carl. And what I was looking at here is the originality.
There's a lot of creativity in this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I didn't mean it was
Sorry about
necessarily heavy pressure, but it just looks as though the middle zone is being compressed.
Yes.
Sensual.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the let me think what I was.
So the emphasis.
I think I came up with something different here, because what I was looking at was this flow of that ink, that sensualness, that also relates to the feeling, the flow. It has like a vibrant flow. And if you look at the uh the connective forms here,
Those are
I think you have
garlands.
garlands, exactly.
Mm.
And let's see, I don't think I mentioned that. The garland,
No.
but it was on that list. The garland is the extroverted aspect of feeling, with the arcade usually the introverted aspect of feeling. And
Yeah.
so when I saw that, I thought, okay, that's really because with the size and everything, the extroverted feeling, I switched my my take to that it had to be the extroverted feeling indicated that we had a J type. You see what I'm saying? Since it was extroverted feeling. And in which case it would be the intuition and the sensing that would be on that let me on that cross on the arm, the auxiliary or the tertiary. So the yeah, and Carl, this this thing about how do you put it? The writing looks very, very mature. Their cognitive, intellectual ability, their the integration that's in this writing, that's showing the integration of the ego. It really, this is why it's difficult to to follow that line, of, is it to tell which one's the dominant. So I saw that emotion, the feeling, the extroverted feeling in the, and then that meant that either the intuition or the sensing would be in the auxiliary, and it would be introverted. Okay, whichever one was in the auxiliary would be introverted. And then what I looked for here was the case where you see these extended lines. I think that that's the upper zone. That's and see, they're related to that what was it, right tendency in the upper zone. Yeah. See, so with right tendency in the upper zone, I'm thinking, well, that sure indicates that the intuition is extroverted. You see? So, but in the lower zone, we have even these back oriented movements with the heaviness. So this lower zone, so I'm thinking this is extroverted feeling dominant with introverted sensing in the auxiliary position, and a highly developed tertiary that's extroverted intuition. Does that
I'm a
make
little confused.
Okay.
So you would say this one is an E and
extroverted actually you use the letters that are in dominant and tertiary position, dominant and auxiliary position. So it would be E S F J. But look how hard that is. You just about have to, you have to think of it as the F with a little e and the S with the little I. You see how much easier that is?
Well, but it's such fluid writing that I thought it would be intuitive.
It is
Yeah.
intuitive. They've developed that intuition. See, so they must be probably over 30. And is that not amazing? This is why if you're working with the, instead of looking at the let me show you here. This is why I'm using this kind of thing. The where was that? Assessment. There it is. I'm gonna put that down there so we can use it. Okay. So in this assessment form, go ahead. What is it?
Sorry, I was just going to say, with that
Uh-huh.
previous writing,
Mm-hmm.
are you suggesting that the intuition part of it was the tertiary,
Yeah.
which is sort of either just being developed or
They've
might
developed
even be causing a problem?
it's developed. Well, see, this is the thing. It's
Yeah,
it's more likely that a person develops their auxiliary number 2 and number 3 than that they develop their number 4.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So I'm looking at all aspects because it's such an integrated writing. So I'm realizing, well, they have this in the middle. They've got the middle zone really looks like it's the garland extroverted feeling, and the upper zone looks like highly developed intuition, and
yeah,
it shows it.
yeah.
But and then the pressure is very interesting because it looks, like kind of dark but definitely flowing, and then you
Yeah.
see these extra thick lower zone, but they're kind of in reverse. Let me show you that F
Yeah,
in reverse was right here. See, it's
yeah,
moving up that it makes it thicker. Now
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, it is, it is.
See, so
Mm,
um this is quite unusual, but this is the reason, instead of using the Myers-Briggs 4-letter code, it's much more helpful to use the function attitudes, because especially with the handwriting, because you can see, oh, this has a function attitude, this looks like an X, this is in the upper zone, that means intuition, and it's leaning, right leaning, so that means extroverted. So you have an upper zone an extroverted intuition. And then the lower zone, well, that looks like it's kind of left leaning, the lower zone.
yeah, the lower
You know?
zone.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that means you've got an introverted sensing.
Mm,
Is that making sense, guys?
yeah.
And so
Right.
by using the SE and the NE, or SI and NI, and then I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna find, I want to look at whether what's going on in the middle zone, Is it more feeling or thinking? And so I'm looking in the middle zone for those connective forms. See,
Okay.
and I see, well, it looks primarily Garland, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
primarily Garland, and that's extroverted feeling.
Mm.
You have that right leaning. The Garland's more of a, and you can see that movement to the right. And because it's feeling, because it's got that feeling, the feeling is the how do I say, the feeling is a connective, more connected writing. So it's going to be not the size that's emphasized, that's identifying what's the dominant orientation of the personality, but it'll be, is it more right leaning or more left leaning? And what do you think? Is this
Yeah.
more right leaning or more left leaning?
Well.
Slightly right.
I think it is slightly right, but look
Yeah.
how balanced it is.
Yes,
It's
because the left
extremely
lower
balanced.
zone is to the left.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And so by using the function attitudes I've got, I just write out, okay, there's NE, there's FE, and there's SI,
Yeah.
and then I go to this little form here, and I think, well,
That would be.
if it's both sensing and intuition, it's more likely that that would be on the arms, because
Yeah.
the inferior function, number 4, the dominant and inferior, that's very seldom fully developed until late in your years.
Mm. Mm.
Does that make sense? And so it's quite, the outside information is very relevant. And I want to point out here, this is why we use all 3 methods. We want to
Mm.
know about
Mm.
this person. We
Mm.
want to look at their handwriting, and
Mm.
maybe we want to have them take the MBTI, and then
Mm.
we can really nail down what's going on. Because like we were talking earlier, Carl, it's developmental,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're looking at changes, like
Mm.
right now, they're more intuitive than they are the with well, they do have that emotional connectedness, which is very unusual for an intuitive person. I just disconnect, but they
Mm.
have that emotional connectedness that's really um, about relating, about that relationship, and that's still there, which is um, I guess why they're more integrated. Is that making sense? How to and
Mm.
own,
Yeah.
because you might have to move those things around a while before you figure it out, especially
Mm.
if all you have is the handwriting, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you can put down the 4-letter code to translate it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can find an easier one. I thought that was easy.
I would think that what normal is what's normal for you and what you're doing with your life. I
Yeah,
could say you're teaching electronics in a university. Well, you don't need a lot of feelings for that. You
true,
do.
true.
You need a good brain and a good
Hmm.
memory.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
there's such thing as normal. There's like normal for you.
Right. And in fact, that's a big part of what Carl
Mm.
Jung was like looking at. I mean, not he this is one reason he split with Freud,
Freud.
was because Freud looked at things as a pathology and Carl Jung just considered adaptation.
Mm,
Yeah.
That
yeah.
and if a person was having trouble with adapting, then it was just about supporting them so they could, or
Yeah. Yeah.
helping them make that step.
Yeah.
You know, let's see. I think, um, let's see if this is easier. So this, let's look at the middle area, the middle zone. And there's a little hint here.
Well, I think that's mainly garlands, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
In the
Yes.
middle.
I think that's garlands.
Mm.
And then upper and lower zone.
A lot of right slant.
Mm-hmm. Right slant. So we're
Yeah.
it's would be right leaning. So we have
Also
more.
sensual. A lot of color.
Yeah.
And
But the upper zone and lower zone don't stand out like the previous
yeah.
writing.
I
It's
think
combined. Mm.
I know that's where I notice that's sometimes hard to realize what's going on. But what I notice here is this is like just like less developed, and this has more originality up here in just the few, and more of this extension. You see
Look
that?
at the word a lot. They're connected.
Uh-huh. Let's see here.
Over to the left. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Yes.
A lot. Okay, there we
Yeah.
go. A lot. Yes.
Mm.
So you've got the connectedness, which is part of that feeling. Feeling is connected writing in the middle zone, which is where that. So I do think that the feeling, extroverted feeling, is the dominant.
Yeah.
Okay, so if extroverted feeling is the dominant,
Mm.
I think there's another stroke in here that would affect a lot of this.
uh-huh.
Look at those circle letters and they're all double walled,
Mm.
which means they're really, sitting on their emotions.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna, there's something in them they don't want to let out.
Right. Right.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
That's
Which
gonna restrain them.
the introverted aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
What I would look at then is the so the guy that put this together, Milt Moore, he was thinking that the other function was the introverted function. But that would mean that the introverted function is, I'm sorry, the other function was the intuitive function. I don't know why I said that. It's the intuitive function. But the intuitive function would be introverted since the feeling function is extroverted.
Yeah.
You see? If the auxiliary function is indeed which is what he's thinking that is.
Mm.
Milt,
Yeah, this was out of
is
his.
he deceased?
I don't know.
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I know he wasn't, I think he is. I know he had been sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was an Air Force veteran.
Hmm.
mm.
But yeah, so I'm curious to see if this upper zone stuff shows left trend stuff. So look at this T, how that reverses back on the 2 up here.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that's kind of left trend.
that's a left trend.
And
Yeah.
there's like this little hook around before it, even though it
Mm,
leans funny.
mm.
Um,
What do you make of that second word in the last line? Yeah,
this
right at
one,
the beginning. No,
Second.
yeah, right there.
you
Yeah. What's that all about?
maybe boy, that's or something
Oh,
caused. I'm not sure.
I can't
That
read
looks
it.
like a Y.
Maybe
can't
that's
read.
called.
Oh, called something. Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is this very inward piece.
Yes.
So yeah, like you're saying, I think
Mm.
but there's all of that slant like you're saying too. So yeah, I think we have an indication that uh the upper zone has some left-leaning
Yeah.
aspects going on.
Yeah.
So we can say that
Mm.
uh the it would be FENI. And maybe overall, so then we'd have to decide, which one is dominant? Is the introverted? And if this is normal size, um I have to say that the slant really indicates that it's a dominant extrovert, you know, with a strong introvert. The introversion is kind of coming second. It seems like it's a developed thing. That would be what I'd say about it. It's um the extroversion is coming out of the feeling, and the introversion seems to have been caused like a how would I put it? A deliberate kind of process. Does that make sense? Like here, how this activity of hiding stuff, it's kind of a deliberate process. And the repression. Again, this is why you use the function attitude, and you lay out each of the functions, and you're looking at how where they might go in that on that cross. Okay, I don't want to dwell too much. I want you to get the process, of what we're looking at, and kind of how to and uh let's see if I can pick this out. So in this one, we're the well, one of the most obvious things is that it is irregular, I think. Is it not? Am I getting that right?
I think this person has a lot of resentment too.
Yeah.
That's gonna hold them back.
Well, and that's the other piece. See, I don't know how heavy the writing is, but we can look here at these the lower zone emphasis here, and there's a lot, they're pretty long.
Hmm. There's a lot of tangling, isn't there?
Mhm. And then we can look at the middle zone on the connective forms,
Hmm.
seeing the arcade form. So like the arcade indicates the feeling, introverted feeling.
Yeah.
So if we've got the introverted feeling, then the sensing would be extroverted sensing.
Hmm.
And let me think again. And if it really is irregular writing, that would fit. The SEFI. Okay. And so then we're just wanting to identify, is this overall extroverted writing or introverted writing? Size kind of indicates it's extroverted,
Yeah. And the right slant.
and the right slant.
Hmm.
Even though,
But again, you've got those left tens, haven't you, that
yes,
hold it
but
back.
which are, I think, they're reminiscent of like that lower zone,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
holding on, which makes sense to the characteristic of a sensing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So extroverted sensing, introverted feeling is what I would put here.
Yeah. I can see that.
This isn't too difficult. Does everyone see how I went through that process?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll put together like a little handout with the the quick tips. And then the thing is, you can see if you're looking at too many indicators, it actually becomes harder to determine.
Yeah. Yes.
It's easier because we're not trying to see how strong the extroversion is. Just, does it lean this way or this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is
Yeah.
it enough?
It's there.
Yeah.
I think this is somebody who's an extrovert, but who's got a number of brakes they put on. It's
Mhm.
self-conscious, it's
Yes.
narrow loops,
Yes.
Yeah.
things like that, which would hold them back,
Exactly.
restrain them.
And that really defines, like that matches up with the character of an extroverted sensing type, extroverted sensing, introverted feeling. And let me tell you, the beauty of this is you get that SEFI, and then you translate it into your Myers-Briggs 4-letter code, and then you can look up a description of that personality, and it's like, well, you basically, because you can interpret more details in the handwriting, you can kind of say, yeah, that's what this is, from knowing their characteristics. And that's why those three aspects all help you to identify more accurately, to what's what the type is.
Mm.
And and how that even when, you know, that's kind of the other part where it becomes confusing with let's see if I think I got. Let me just jump to him. Debbie, since you asked, let's take a look. I think I got maybe I don't have him out here. We'll look at it next time. Because for Trump, I've read articles from people that don't know his handwriting, but they've described that he had the extroverted sensing is kind of obvious, and that's in his how heavy the writing is. But the introverted thinking, he does have like straight writing, but it's kind of there's one person that wrote that they believe that he didn't develop his introverted thinking function because he was like basically brought up not to be introspective, you know, and that was a bad thing, and he isn't introspective, you know, so he went direct towards his feeling function on the tertiary, which was extroverted feeling. And so he was using the extroverted sensing and extroverted feeling. And I've heard people that try to identify his type confuse, like whether is he an introvert, is he a feeling or a thinking in the auxiliary, even though they have that sensing type.
Mhm.
So that's what
That's
makes
the
it,
dichotomy of the signature versus the text.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
he's got,
Oh, it's like, how can he be a thinker
yeah,
in his signature, but a feeler in his text?
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
There's
so
quite a difference between his signature and his writing.
yeah, so it really like using the function attitudes again. The only way you can really go through that is use the function attitudes instead of the instead of going to the 4-letter code, the Myers-Briggs code. And then, you know, once you're kind of like, you use the function attitudes to kind of think through it. It's more useful that way to try to figure out especially when the person's developed. Let me see if I don't, so INFP. Okay, so here, let's see how much. Oh, I really have gone over time, guys. But let's take a look. Notice we have small writing. I think this could be considered small. It's
Smallish.
yeah, smallish, and disconnected, and
Some
it
left
looks like,
slant.
yeah, and it looks like it's got the arcade. Yeah, it looks like arcade.
Yeah,
Most,
Yeah,
yeah, I'd say so.
yeah, arcade.
intense.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know how heavy it is. See, that's kind of
Doesn't look too heavy.
it doesn't really look
No,
too
it
heavy.
doesn't.
So if
No.
it's lighter writing,
Mm.
that
There's
would
also,
indicate intuition.
there's also
especially
no
disconnect.
margins.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's kind of about the flow, yeah. So that part indicates um
Dominating T-bar.
yeah. So we're looking at intuition and introverted feeling. The introverted feeling. So we're
Yeah.
needing to figure out the intuition is that we could assume that it's most likely extroverted intuition. And then we have to decide which one is more overall is the is the is this overall more extroverted or more introverted?
I'd say his signature is quite different from the writing too.
Mm.
I
So-
don't think so. It's bigger, but I don't think it's that different.
Oh, the capital is, and the Y is.
Yes, the Y is, but
It's more spread out, isn't it, the signature?
yeah, the slant is the same though.
The letters, yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's overall more introverted.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that would mean that the introverted feeling is dominant. So let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Introverted feeling. Let's see, would be, there we go. So introverted feeling, Fi here, and Ne here. Okay. And because it's introverted feeling, extroverted intuition, remember, what would it be, a P or a J type?
Why would you say feeling?
Introverted feeling?
Yeah, feeling. Anyway,
Yeah. Let me show you. Hold on. Oop. I didn't mean to do that. Was this? Wait a minute. That wasn't it.
that's not it.
No. It's the one under, it's the one underneath that. There we go.
No. No.
Nope.
No,
That's next
That's it.
week's.
Yeah. Let's see, where was I? Oh, it was that big INFP. There we go.
Yeah.
there you
Finally.
go.
That's it.
Okay,
Mm.
let me get this a little bigger.
Doesn't
Okay.
strike me as feeling.
We're looking at the connective forms in the middle zone. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
See, but remember, it's introverted feeling.
Yeah.
Introverted feeling. So it's not going to be it's introverted feeling,
Mm.
and the whole personality, the dominant, it's dominant introverted.
Mm.
See? Does that
Main-
make sense?
Yeah.
What happened here?
It's mainly left slant too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
By the looks of it.
Well, vertical to left.
yeah. Right, vertical to left, which I consider, I think that shows it, that it's,
Mm. Yeah.
that kind of backs up that idea that it's
Mm.
introverted, overall introverted. So the dominant would be introverted feeling. And Carl, this is the thing. Introverted to begin with is very difficult to see what they are like. They know what they're like, you know. Um and an introverted feeling in particular is even more difficult, because you see, usually it's about, you think a feeling is how they're expressing with others, but
Yeah.
this is going to be more of an inward thing.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's going to be it's a very particular way that most people aren't going to understand.
Mm.
I have a sister-in-law who's introverted feeling. She's
Mm.
identified herself that way from the Myers-Briggs
Yeah.
characteristics.
Mm.
Anyone who's introverted, I trust how they pick what their type is, based upon a
Mm.
reading. But
Mm.
extroverted people, I don't trust what they say.
Mm. Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
other one, just what was that? That one we looked that I opened up suddenly. No, that not that one. That other one was
Mm.
this
Mm.
is actually not that one.
No.
The angled one. Oh, was this?
That's the one we just did.
Yeah, I thought so. How did I miss? Maybe.
Senior moment.
Yeah, really. Not that one. Where did I go with that? I bumped something. Nope, that was the one
No.
we did first. This
Yeah.
one was real angular. I remember. Oh, that's it. ENT. That's it. There we go. Just to show, because this is actually a good contrast since we were looking at feeling.
Mm. Mm.
Okay, so it's larger writing.
Yeah.
Kind of Trumpy.
Yeah,
Yes.
larger writing. It's um the let's see here. Um it's more angles than rounded
Yes.
in the middle zone.
Yeah.
And then we just need to uh kind of get a sense of uh like, is it heavy or light? It's a little
It's
difficult.
heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say it's strong.
Mm.
uh-huh. See, and if it is heavy, then we're talking about a sensing type,
Mm.
which which would be the opposite of what this person thought.
Yeah.
See? Um the part that gets me though is that, well, a thinking type is also disconnected. See, a thinking type. So that would explain disconnected. In fact, this kind of disconnected looks like they're printing rather than error. So I don't think this is an N, according to what this person said. I think this is an S. And it does
Mm.
show more lower zone work than upper
Mm.
zone.
Mm.
And if it is heavy, that kind of backs up that it is a
Yeah.
sensing type.
Yes.
So it would be, um, let's see. Now, if it's regular, rather than irregular, that indicates that the thinking is extroverted. Do you see that? The thinking is extroverted if it's regular because it's J. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
That's, yeah. So if it's regular writing, which it does pretty much
does-
look pretty
does look-
regular, I
Looks like,
think.
yeah,
So the thinking is extroverted, and the sensing, therefore, would be introverted.
yeah,
And so just about it would be ESTJ.
yeah,
Yes,
yes,
thinking extroverted.
yeah, looks like it.
Or as we say, we put TE with the TE
Mm.
is the
E,
function attitude, and
SI.
SI,
Mm.
which is kind of backed up, SI, because you have these reversals, this left trend here.
Mm.
See that in
Mm.
the Fs,
Even.
kind of a backward movement.
Mm.
And what was that? I thought I saw like single
Mm.
lower, which is
Mm.
also a left trend. So that kind of backs it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. Okay.
Handwriting of Sister June, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Yep.
She could be a CEO of General Motors.
It's interesting. I'm wondering what her pressure. Do you know what her pressure is? Well,
She usually used a felt tip, but it was more or less on the heavy side.
okay. Then that helps us. That confirms it's sensing.
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mm.
And the felt tip is kind of it also kind of backs that up.
Mm.
And I just found this out this week, but she ran toe to toe with Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
She
How-
did all of the handwriting analysis for his casino, for all of the employees that came into his casino. She did the
Oh,
handwriting analysis.
Fascinating.
Oh,
Kidding.
wow.
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 I was in that casino once.
Yeah,
It
Well,
went under.
yeah.
Mhm.
And he did not pay her what she was worth. And they went
Wow.
toe to toe on a lot of issues.
Hmm. He didn't pay a lot of people,
Yep.
as I understand.
Yep.
Goodness.
I'll be
Yeah.
darned.
Wow. Do you have
Ah.
some of those handwriting samples from that?
Wouldn't that be nice? No.
Oh, yeah.
You want to
No,
get your money first with him.
Yeah, well, I just found out that she had done that for the better part of 16 months.
Goodness.
And then she finally told him off and said, I'm done with that.
Mhm.
I see where Harvard just is going to pay $200 million in a lawsuit in order to get back 2 billion that they had coming.
Yep.
What a riot.
Wow. Well, I'll put a little handout together for before our next.
You keep writing that book, Victor.
Yeah, handout by handout.
I'm a booker. I'm a bookie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, of those kind of the things to look at. And as you can see, it's like you can learn these steps or you can learn these things to look at,
Mm.
but then the practice of it is where it starts feeling pretty, like you get a handle on it. And what I found is I'm never quite sure about, in some cases, I'm never quite sure what it is if I'm only using one method, especially with some of the more mature people. So So that's why I started using these multiple methods to
Mm,
kind
mm,
of put them together, and then I feel more confident about, okay, this is what it is. Even better, like the Myers-Briggs folks, as I'm trained under the Myers-Briggs indicator, they have a confirmation process where you're interviewing the client to see how that feels like it fits them. And what you're really doing is getting kind of how their history, you're getting a sense of how they developed, which is helps you know whether that intuition was something that developed later and is stronger now,
mm,
rather than how, like more used, rather than something they developed first
Hmm.
mm,
in their when they were younger.
mm.
I tell you, Victor, when I have this much information coming at me, it's like taking the proverbial drink from a fire hydrant.
I gotcha. It'll be repeated. I'll stop.
Okay,
Thank you.
I
You
need to
guys are
go
great.
now. Yeah.
I can't
Lovely
believe
to
it.
see
We're
you.
still at it. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you, Victor. That's
Yeah,
lovely. Bye,
you're welcome.
everybody.
Take care. Take care, Val. See ya.